Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, the show that gives you a virtual seat at the bar for the real conversations that happen between entrepreneurs. I'm interviewing all kinds of business owners, from those just a few years into freelancing to CEOs helming 9-figure companies. If you've ever worried that everyone else just seems to get it and you're missing something or messing things up, this show is for you. I'm your host, Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hey, and welcome back to Permission to Kick Ass. With me today is my new friend, Matt Davis. Hi, Matt.
Oh, I like this permission. This will be fun.
Permission to get fascinated by things, to have a wonderful, we were talking right before we hit record about maps, about travel, about all kinds of good things. I was just going to get stuck in talking about road trips and going to Buc-ee's and just forget to record entirely.
Yeah, I get that. I like my road trips too. I just got back from one, so that was kind of fun. So,
yeah, well, if we have some time at the end, we'll have to circle back and talk about road trip tips, because I'm a full-time digital nomad, usually traveling to different places. And I've had people kind of, oh my God, how do you do 10 hours in the car? Like, I do 10 hours in the car with a cat, but I'm a truck driver's daughter. So
you and I are from the South Plains. 10 hours is nothing. You just go.
Find some good music or some good podcasts and have your usual places that you like to stop off and just make it a tradition. It's fun. It's fun. Promise. Yeah. But anyway, tell us a little bit about your business.
Oh, yeah. So I have a law firm. We call it Davis Business Law. And the easiest way to describe it is we are the family doctors of small business law. So we've got 15 attorneys spread out from Kansas City down to Austin. We're growing, so we'll probably add a couple new markets next year. And, we take care of small businesses, kind of soup to nuts. We'll handle claims or litigation. We do the paperwork. But if it gets super heavy, we'll call in the brain surgeons. So, last year we were in the middle of selling off a asset of a company for, well into 9 figures, so over $100 million. Mm-hmm. And, we called in Vincent and Elkins on that, which are what we call TBLs, tall building lawyers. We can do the work, but we're like, look, you guys, this is more your specialty. You're the brain surgeon at this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a fascinating approach to that. I'd never heard it described that way too, just kind of like general practitioner versus specialist. That's pretty cool.
Well, there's not a lot of law firms that really get down in that grit with us, but that, we love representing small businesses. We just got a great Yelp review today that was maybe spoke to that issue, and it said, finally a law firm that gets small business. And I'm like, yeah, that's us. Thank you. That's gratifying. So,
mm-hmm. Oh, I love it when people get it.
Yeah, I didn't know we got Yelp reviews, but I was like, oh, I get the Google review. I get, the Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever, but I guess so.
Yeah, other people can create a profile for you. That happened to me when I first started my copywriting career. Some well-meaning friends set up a profile for me on Yelp. Granted, my business is not one that usually sources Yelp like as a lead source, right? That people aren't finding me through Yelp to hire me. And then I said something, as I'm prone to doing, probably mouthed off to someone in a random internet forum about marketing. And they decided to troll me for it by constantly attacking my Yelp profile and giving me 1-star reviews about my SEO services, a service which I did not, in fact, offer. So it was interesting. I disabled it after that.
Now that you mention this, there was a bar in our town that was run by a particularly hateful guy. Mm-hmm. And he was just kind of an odious, bigoted fellow, right? Mm. Somehow the gay community went out and created a Yelp website for him and started marketing him as a gay bar. And it was so funny because they were so crass and talking about this guy walking around in fishnet stockings and all this and that. So yeah, it can happen. I'm a little negligent here and not being aware of that branch of, Lord knows what they're saying about me on Yelp, right?
But it's probably better to not pay attention to those things, or at least have. I know that that's my goal as I release my book and as I grow the podcast, is just to have somebody on my team that looks through all of those things and filters out the negative things and only surfaces the positive things. Like, feel free to share something that is like constructive criticism with me, but I have no need to hear the "you suck, I hate you, swear less," any of that stuff. No, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I liken it to people who like sit there and watch commercials and like, would you just shriek spam at the TV or change the channel? Just change the channel if you don't like it. That's all I'm saying. So tell me, like, abrupt segue, tell me a little bit about how you got started down this path of small business law.
Well, I thought I was going to be a Washington lawyer. Mm-hmm. and was prepared for it, was in interviews, and then I just had an epiphany that I didn't want to do that and moved back to my hometown, which is, a small city out here. Mm-hmm. And I just had to get my hands dirty and figure out how to make a living and figure out how to help people. And I eventually just wandered into doing a lot of work for small businesses. Mm-hmm. And then about 8 years ago, I was practicing out of my house. I had a very, very sophisticated marketing strategy. I didn't have a website. I didn't have my name in the phone book. If you wanted to find me, you had to have my number or get it from somebody. But I was busy full time. But that got a little oppressive. And so I had a midlife crisis and started a law firm. And we just decided, for marketing purposes, we're going to get rid of, we had a general practice, and we got rid of family law. We were doing a little criminal law, got rid of that. I mean, we jettisoned about, ultimately, well over $500,000 a year in business, and just pared it down to business law and started growing it. So we started here in my hometown of Enid, and we don't do, we have a couple clients here, but we've got, we went to Oklahoma City first and started growing it and built some marketing muscle and some repeat business muscle. And then we just took the show on the road.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and random question here. Have you seen any kinds of patterns with the kinds of small businesses that you work with? Is it kind of an industry or a vertical, or is it more like size and revenue, or anybody that comes to you that you like working with?
We have some pretty big businesses anymore that we work with. A lot of people that we work with are immigrants, are people who are new to town. Because, one of the best ways people get referred or get to know an attorney is, I grew up with him, or I went to go to church with him. And, we get some of that, but we're going to be better digital marketers than our competition. And sometimes once you get into a community, you just become the go-to attorney. So, for instance, Jeff, who's a tall gringo, is now the attorney for all the Nepalese in Oklahoma City. We don't know why, but they love him. We know why they love him, but we don't know how they came to him. And, years ago, I broke into the Lebanese families up in Wichita. And so, that's how I know I'm not a complete SOB, because when I go to Wichita, I usually come home with homemade hummus that was made by a Lebanese grandma with mint leaves on it and the whole shebang. Ooh, so
that sounds delicious. You're making me hungry.
Yeah, it's great. And we go out and we build relationships, and digital is a good spot to break in. But it's breaking in because we know that every client that comes to us is a doubter. Okay, because guess what? People hate attorneys. I know that, and I know why, because, I went to school with them. I didn't like them back then, and I've been dealing with them for 30 years, in the law business, and they annoy me. I was ready to kill this guy in Omaha the other day. So, I get that, what people hate about lawyers, and we just do a lot better job taking care of our clients and respecting their dollar and taking care of their needs just for information. So now one of our taglines is smart business decisions. And, your attorneys can real quickly become a problem in your business. So, you may be getting the drift that we look at how to help clients a lot differently than most law firms, let alone they don't specialize or know their role in, our first core value is believe and protect their dreams, right?
Oh, I love that.
That's what people are trying to do. That they're trying to build a better life for themselves. So our job is to come alongside them. Let's help you out. Let's protect you. If we got a problem, let's get back in the opportunity space as quick as we can. Let's not just sit here and admire your problem and talk about all the stupid motions we need to go file. Let's go figure out, what our best solution to get you back on offense is.
I love the angle of that. And I think a lot of what you said is brilliant. I want to highlight and unpack that for everybody that's listening. The fact that that every client comes to you as a doubter. Like, I think there's a certain power in acknowledging the things that people say, the things that people see, instead of fighting against it. Because I know I've worked with some people that are like, that is just wrong. That's the wrong impression. I want to prove people wrong. And I don't know that telling them that their beliefs are wrong is the way to prove people wrong. It's just to acknowledge that some people say that, and that is not true for you. And you're just going to show them.
Yeah. I mean, they come to us and they're apprehensive because of a well-warranted concern about the law business. And, the two things I just did our slide deck, or my daughter's working on it right now for our retreat. And I constantly preaching this to the attorneys. And I say, look, here's what scares people. Number one, they're afraid of getting the mushroom treatment. Do you know what that is? That's getting fed BS and kept in the dark.
Ooh.
Okay. That's what people hate because, my attorney doesn't communicate with me. I don't know what's going on. And look, we don't always get it right, but that's a theme and that's a thread of us pushing through it and just doing everything we can to keep our clients informed so that they can make a smart business decision, right? So, we got to deal with the mushroom treatment because we don't do that. That's guys, no. Communicate, get them the information they need when they need it, including what's coming down the pike, which ties to the second thing that people hate about the law business, which is the blank check syndrome. They just hate this feeling of handing over a blank check. Because then they're like, I was furious at my accountant because he called me the other day and he's like, oh, well, you have a tax bill. And I'm like, and it's due today. And I'm like,
thanks for the heads up, bro.
Why didn't you call me 2 weeks ago? And by the way, you're wrong. Because guess what? I understand the tax code. I used to teach income tax. And okay, so let's go back to blank check. So, what we do is our attorneys communicate with case finance every week. And case finance, and or client services, they'll send it, here's your email, here's what's coming down the pike. You're going to pre-fund this because we're going to get your buy-in. We want to know that this is what you want us to do because this is, you're going to pay us now, you're going to pay us later, but you're going to pay us now. And it's not us being jerks. It's like, let's get your buy-in. Let's get, I don't want to send you some surprise bill.
Yeah. I love that approach. I've worked with several people who, I work mostly with creative service providers, right? But that's the kind of project where it's kind of hard to define because you're usually creating something out of nothing, a marketing campaign, a design, a logo, something like that. And those are the things that can scope creep easily. They can get a lot bigger than the initial project plan was. And I've worked with so many people who, once the scope creep happens, they're just kind of mentally saying, okay, well, I'll add it to the tab. And they go, no. The moment that it became a change, the moment there was a change to the original project, it is your duty as the trusted expert to inform them that there's an additional cost for this. Here's what I can do. Here's how this will affect the timing. Let me know how you'd like to proceed. Because about half the time you're going to get people that go, yeah, send me an invoice. That's not a problem. And about half the time you're going to get people that go, oh, no, I didn't know it was going to cost me that much. I guess I really don't need it that badly. Right. But like give them the option to say that. And either way, it's either going to stop you from doing unnecessary work that you ultimately won't get paid for. It's going to preserve that relationship because they're not going to feel like they're writing you a blank check. And it's going to ensure that you get paid for extra work that you do. And you don't feel resentful because you feel like you're giving them a whole bunch of stuff that they're not paying for. Right. Like, speak up.
Preach it. Preach it.
Speak up.
Preach it. Yeah. Hey, I'll throw out one more option that can happen there. And which is, how about this? Sometimes they go, well, now hold on. Explain to me why again. Explain to me why we need to do this. And, that's just, and so, you really got three options. Yeah, go ahead to explain to me. And then, you're going to either go ahead or stop. So stop, so the way we handle things allows our clients to tap the brakes or say stop. And, it's super powerful, and it leads to really enhanced client satisfaction because ultimately, at the end of the day, the art we create, whatever we're doing, but in the law business for us, is client satisfaction. That's the art we're trying to create.
I like that. Whatever we're creating, it's all about the client satisfaction. I mean, that's not to say that you're going to have 100% of clients satisfied 100% of the time. There's always factors beyond our control that impact the outcomes and sometimes lead to one or both of us being upset, right? But if you are, in my experience, paying attention to this person, caring about this person, communicating to them with the intent to support them versus the intent to make money, right? That changes the dynamic and the energy. And even if things don't work out or people become unhappy, it's less likely to turn into this venomous, like, you were trying to screw me over thing, because they can tell, well, I mean, Matt tried really, really hard and I'm not really happy with how that turned out, but I guess that's the way it works sometimes. Like, can't fault the guy. I like him, right? Or same thing with me. I know people haven't liked working with me 100%.
Well, and, we are presuming in this little initial conversation that, we're dealing with good people. And most of the people in the world are good people. And they want to do right and they want to play fair. Now, there's a certain percentage out there that are just jerks, right? And we have our personality profiles for that because, we're very psychographic in how we approach our clients and try and pay attention to what they need. So, the other thing is the way we handle stuff really weeds them out because those, the bad client types they're just energy vampires and money vampires and the whole thing. And they're there in every industry. And, we have certain types that show up again and again, and we can spot them like that and just get them out of our ecosystem, if that's the right word, as quick as possible.
Oh yeah, you definitely start to recognize them over time. Patterns emerge, and you can tell something in my gut says I don't want to work with this person. Usually, they've given you some sort of signal that they don't respect your boundary, they don't respect your expertise, or there's just sometimes it's a personality clash or it's a way you do business clash. It doesn't always have to be that it's a good bad dynamic, but I do like that you said that you have all of your systems set up that really just filters those folks out. And I do the same thing. Like, my goal is to make it as not fun as possible for one of those energy vampires to work with me. I'm going to gray rock the hell out of somebody that wants to take up all my time and be like, no, I'm here to do this job. I fully support you while we're doing this job. And if you need more from me, cool. Let's talk about what more from me looks like. What do you need? How can I accommodate that? But no, you're not going to email me at 3:00 in the morning demanding a new email sequence and then be pissed off at me at 8:00. That happened to me early in my copy career, by the way.
I get it. I mean, we just had a guy and I was working on getting him out of our system, and, he knew I was on vacation, and, I've had a tough summer because my right-hand lawyer, I still do more legal work than I maybe should. for running a company of my size, but I kind of like to be the team leader, and I've got a great COO. Anyway, my right-hand lawyer, she had the audacity to haul off and have a baby this summer without asking me, right? I mean, what was she thinking?
The nerve.
Yeah, the nerve of that. Didn't even consider me. And I'm thrilled for her. I love when, we have new babies at the firm. So we just had a grandbaby at the firm. So I'm pretty excited about that. His name is Crew. So anyway,
Awesome.
yeah, Katrina is thrilled. She's losing her mind over her first grandbaby. But anyway, I had a tough summer and then she decided to take off 90 days, which is great. I'm happy for her. But this guy knows I'm on vacation and starts blowing up my texts because he's mad at one of the attorneys. It's not, and it's like, you can call, you've got the COO's number, you're talking to the COO, you're talking to case, and it's just like, come on, man. So they're out there.
Yeah.
And, in our world, we talk about them as being either, and this is a Venn diagram, once you think about it, three circles, not four, deceivers. There's just a lot of crooks in the law business, right? And dramatics, people who are always the victim. And then debtors. Because debtors, there's a lot of people who owe other people in the law, they need legal help, right?
Yep.
Well, guess what? They're just thrilled to put us in line, right? So, we've learned, those are three of the big spots in our world. So
that's a good way to categorize people. But look, for anybody listening, I don't judge people based on who they are. If there's an immutable aspect, the color of your skin, your orientation, anything like that, I don't fault you for that. I don't even fault you if you're a rabid sports fan or anything like that. The thing I take issue with is behavior. Period. End of story. So if any of those things that you believe impacts your behavior to where you're being a dick to people on my team, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem.
As we say it, we're all born naked and we're all going to room temperature.
Exactly. All humans. Oh, this is such a fascinating. I don't even know which direction to go. Oh, no, I know which direction to go because I know an interesting part of your growth story that involves making a bad hire. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So one of our very first attorneys that we hired when we started decided to moonlight a whole lot on us. And, she was very just weird. And, we could never get her productive. We've always been pretty reasonable about keeping track of KPIs and productivity. And that's a good sign. Maybe it goes in those that are unfaithful in small deeds will also be unfaithful in large deeds. There's a little biblical principle for you. But we could never get her productive. And ultimately, I saw a pleading coming through the office, and I'm like, this is not one of our cases. And I just happened to see it there on the secretary's desk. And I went and I looked up the case because it had online access. And I'm like, our firm is entered in this case as attorneys of record, and it's not in our billing software. And, that's
a big no-no.
Yeah, that's just theft. And ultimately on that, we went back through the emails and saw the secretary she had given some documents in that, and there were several other cases. We figured it all out, had it unrattled, and she just incidentally left on vacation the next day. And so by the time she got back, we had it all unpacked, and I called her in, and I had my old partner there just to as a witness, and it was bizarre. And I'm like, listen, here's what you're doing. You're not billing on our time. And, that's your obligation. You can't even keep your time to us, your commitment to us. And you're out here working. Well, that was my brother's girlfriend, and 4 or 5 different deals like that. And, oh, well,
Hmm.
these people rewired my house for free. And I'm like, well, I paid for it when I was paying you for the time you weren't billing me, moron,
Yeah.
right? That you owed us. And I mean, it was bizarre. And, this was a grown woman with a law degree and just, couldn't even grasp the ethical nature of what she did. They're out there. I mean, these complete morons like that are
Hmm.
out there.
Yeah.
And we shuffled her out very quickly. And by the way, I called in the secretary and said, here's the email where she said, oh, don't tell Matt about this. And so, secretary, you're either dishonest or too stupid to be working for us. So
Oh.
there's the door too.
Hmm.
Um, because you don't tolerate dishonesty with
Yeah.
employees.
I mean, I've had conversations like that on this is when I was an employee, but I remember having a disagreement with another staffer where I just came to her honestly and said, if I have to choose between making you happy and making the person who signs my paychecks happy, I choose him. So how do we resolve this problem?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, how do we work together on this problem? Like, I can't even tell you how uncomfortable and upset I would be if somebody ever thought to come to me and say, keep this a secret from the boss. And the only exception I could think about is if it's like a wholesome surprise for the boss, that the whole team is
yeah.
coming together to create something for them. But I can't see a world where it makes sense to keep secrets from the person signing your paycheck. Get it?
Yeah, and didn't work out very well for either of them in the
Hmm.
end. And and we're good employers. And
Hmm.
then ultimately, we were talking about this from the standpoint of the audience having people who are starting businesses, and that's a pretty bad story. Most people don't have somebody do that. And I know
Hmm.
this. Look, we're business lawyers. Guess what? We've grown, and by that I mean helped our clients grow hundreds of businesses,
Hmm.
and that's a pretty egregious one.
Yeah.
You don't see that stuff that much when you have somebody who's not living up to their key performance indicator. Those are the ones that are going to be dishonest. Those are the ones that are going to snake you.
I mean, and I know like part of the reason that I loved that you submitted that story that we were talking about it a little bit before the recording is with the people that I work with, that's one of the big fears of hiring. It's such a stretch. It's such a risk on so many levels. I'm going to invest money in this person, money that I maybe don't necessarily have, or I really need it to pay off somehow because I'm stretched pretty thin, or I don't know how to manage people. I don't even know what to have them do. And then, like, how do I manage this person? How do I get them to deliver on what I need them to deliver on without watching over their shoulder and being a jerk and a micromanager? Right? There's a lot of fear around hiring your first person. And she probably was not your first person, but stories like that make people go, I don't know, I don't know.
Look, those are rare.
Hmm.
And I know that from personal experience. I know that with our company growing, and I know that from the just companies I've represented over the years. Maybe here's the lesson.
Hmm.
People tend to be really bad at managing employees because they don't understand the difference between abdication and delegation. And
Mm.
it's really easy concept to get, but it's really powerful when you get it right. So abdication is, here, go do this. I'm just going to throw you to the wolves, right? And and you don't set the expectations well. Maybe you did, but maybe you said, I want you to go, bill 6 hours a day, or I want you to go create this website within 8 hours.
Mhm.
Okay. But delegation is, okay, you do that, you set the task, you set what your expectations are, and preferably attach some key performance indicators to it, some benchmarks, and then you build in the feedback loop.
Mhm.
And then you have a rhythm to that, and you look at that and it comes back. So for instance, we are devotees of scaling up, and that's Vern Harnish's
Vern Harnish,
growth. Yeah. And we're real clear about everybody's responsibility. So, Derek's our COO. He is responsible for attorney productivity. So, Derek's retired Air Force colonel, just top notch, top flight in everything he does. He was a number 10 attorney in the Air Force. Well, but he manages attorney productivity. So he reports back to us all with the yellow report, because our reports are all color coded because we're too dumb to keep track of the real names of them. So we just talk about yellow, orange, or blue. That way we don't have to
whatever works for you. Color coded. That just brings my heart joy. Anyway, continue.
It's beautiful, and I've done that for years. I just had a judge retire, and he's like, the best exhibits I ever had were these color coded exhibits that this attorney did. I can't even remember who he was, and I'm kind of going. And it's making it easy to remember. By the way, that's a good trick too, is just making it simple. But Derek reports back, because he's been delegated the job of ensuring that we have attorney productivity. Tricia does the same thing. She's our CFO, which is really more of a chief revenue officer in our firm, because that's a big job in our firm. And she does the orange report. Let's report back. And so when you build in those feedback loops, with particularly with reports, with data, that makes everything so much easier. Katrina handles client experience, which also means call intake. And she's in charge of making sure the attorneys are picking up the phone when it rings.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And I really like that for several reasons, because I don't think we talk about visibility and transparency enough. And they're very similar, but they're also distinct, right? Visibility is the ability to see where everything is at and kind of understand what's happening on a macro level, on a micro level, and what needs to shift and where the gaps are. But transparency is the fact that you can see all of those little details, for better or for worse, and that everybody is accountable to those deliverables, right? That they're actually reporting what's happening versus what makes them look good.
Yeah. And you need those numbers. You need those metrics to be able to drive the firm or drive the company, because I can look at just a few numbers and know what's going on. And then, you'll also get off on special projects that will have those that you're just trying to fix. And and by the way, on this complete tangent, can I complete tangent you?
Tangent's welcome here.
Yeah. Have you read Mike Michalowicz's new book, Fix It Next?
No, I haven't. I'm going to write that down.
It's actually called Fix This Next. And again, thank you for letting me do this. And wow, what he did is he took remember I think it's Maslow. I think that's how you say it. Maslow's
hierarchy of needs.
He took that and he said, look, let's redefine this for business. And so he came up with what's called the business priority principle. No, pyramid, business priorities pyramid, something like that. BPP is what he calls it. And he says, look, down here at the bottom, here's the basic things your business needs, like humans need food and shelter. And then here's what you need on second level, which is, profits and so on, and just builds it up. And he goes, okay, so here's the deal. What you fix next in your business is whatever's broken at the lowest level. And by the way, even if you've done something once, you can get a crack in your foundation. So when you're done, so for instance, we've grown a lot, and we had a breakdown this summer in some of our marketing, which was pretty solid for where we were a year ago.
Yeah.
And so really for the last 3 months, I had to stop, drop and roll, go back down to that foundation and fix it. But I didn't realize that I was just doing what he talks about. And I'm giving him a great free plug here. and I'm pointing at the book over here. I have a stack of them that I'm giving to my leadership team. And I'm like, guys, this is the best book for helping small businesses understand what they need to prioritize to fix, to build or to fix, so that they can move up the food chain. Mm-hmm. I was with a friend of mine this weekend who we've been trying to grow our law firms for the last 8 years. We met 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. I've done, to some success. I mean, we've got 30 employees. We'll probably anyway. We've enjoyed some success. He hasn't. Mm-hmm. And I said, have you read this book? And I know he hasn't, but I know why he hasn't, because he hasn't invested in learning how to market, to go find opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I've spent a lot of time doing that. Yeah. And so anyway, I'm very excited about that book. Can you tell?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Well, and what I was hearing you kind of rave about, if I could reflect that back to you, was something that I've experienced as an employee. I'm sure everybody here has experienced that once that's listening to the show today. And that is the I'm trying to think of a way to phrase it, but like the putting out fires approach to problem solving. Like, we're only going to focus on what is the most burning thing immediately versus looking deeper to the foundational issues that led to this fire happening and keeps leading to the fires popping up. Like, turn off the electricity because it's causing multiple fires. Like, sometimes the solution is simple, but you have to go deep to find it.
And he literally talks about that, which is, let's figure it. Here's where they are. Here's where the problems are. Here, you can define them right here. Fantastic book. And my fanboy has turned back on again. I've loved Michalowicz for years.
Send him this episode. He's going to learn.
Yeah. And he plugged me on my last book too. So
that's awesome.
But that's not why I'm plugging him, because if you get a chance, listen to the audiobook, because he's great, because he just smarts off the whole time. He ad libs throughout the whole thing. His audios are great. Mm-hmm. So
that's awesome.
I hope that's the book that I'm really tossing out to our small business clients right now. Mm-hmm. Hey, look at this.
Yeah. And I think that ties back so nicely to what you were talking about at the beginning about being invested in their success and protecting their dreams. And I've heard, this is going to sound like a tangent, but it's related, I promise. I've heard some people talk about, well, people can't handle me because I'm honest. Honesty without empathy is just mean. You need people in your life who care enough about you to tell you the truth, but don't destroy your soul in the process. And so I love that you've kind of appointed yourself that kind of guardian of the dreams, like that, cares enough about people to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing, and here's something that really helped me. Maybe this will help you too.
There's a little trick to that, believe and protect their dreams line. And mm-hmm. You'll immediately get it when I tell you what it is. The first people you have to believe and protect their dreams are your employees.
Yep.
Richard Branson, Virgin Companies, and I was just listening to your fellow Texan. Oh gosh, what's his name? The chairman of the board, he calls himself. Wrote The Road Less Stupid. Anyway, it's a great book.
It's a great title.
And, you take care of your employees first. Mm-hmm. They'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. And I was just at this conference with another lawyer, and he suffers some ambition and wants to go grow a law firm. And he was cornered me and like, how did you do it? I'm like, you got to love your people. You got to take care of them. You got to give them a great place to work, and you got to give them a better place to work than everybody else in your market, than all your competition. And then you got to go figure out how to find them and get that message out there. And if you do that and you take care of them and you build a great culture, which is not about nap rooms and, mm-hmm. and good snacks, it's about how you treat each other. It's about, loving each other and taking care of each other and supporting each other. And mm-hmm. wow. So I guess, yeah, we really look at our clients as far as taking care of their dreams because they
Mm-hmm.
want to go to a better place. That's our job, to take them from where they are to a better place. But by the way, the real secret is do that for your internal customers, your employees, and bang, there you go.
Amen. If I could get up on my chair and like shriek how much I love that without knocking over equipment, I would definitely be cheering for that. I think that that's exactly where it starts, from the inside out. And no amount of repackaging how dysfunctional your company is actually going to bleed through. I actually quit a job once because of that. The tagline was neighbors helping neighbors. But at the corporate office where I worked, it was coworkers backstabbing each other, throwing each other under the bus, doing whatever they could to get to the top and get their name known. And I was like, one day, I was one of those ambitious copywriters that took meetings with the president. I told the president, I can't sell it anymore because I don't believe in it. And she said, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I said, we preach neighbors helping neighbors in all of our advertisements and all of our commercials, our catalogs and whatnot, but we don't live it here at the corporate office. And that bleeds through all the way to the end customer. I believe that very strongly. So no, I can't sell it. So we don't live it. And she was like, very much taken aback.
Here's what she did.
Mm-hmm.
That means wow.
Yes.
W. Wow. Yes. She was blindsided. So
mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, I understand somebody at that level that has, I mean, we're talking about a chain with 100 stores. It's a lot to manage. Mm-hmm. No one person has visibility into every aspect of that business. So I'm sure that did come as a surprise to her, and also not a surprise. So
yeah, well, you got to get out and you got to wander around and you got to listen. And,
mm-hmm.
We have a saying that we apply to a lot of things. It's kind of an old country saying. You've probably never heard it. Nobody seems to have heard it, but it's been, part of my life forever. And it's the best fertilizer is the farmer's footsteps.
Interesting. No, I haven't heard that.
And I don't know where it came from. I just, mom
mm-hmm.
or something, it's just, that's the way it was. And, the idea is, when you get out there, you go get your hands dirty, you go check your fields, you're going to find some weeds, you're going to find some spots that need fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
That's makes all the difference. So, yeah, you got to stay invested.
Mm-hmm. What a wonderful, lovely high note to wrap up on. Thank you so much for being on the show. I had no idea where any of this conversation was going, and I loved every minute.
Well, thanks. I loved being here. It was really fun. I love talking shop. We love talking about business, and just, this is what we do. It's part of the American dream, and it's what we just love the privilege of being in the middle of.
Well, awesome. For anybody that is curious or might want to investigate working with you, where do they find out more information about you? How do they get in touch?
Yeah, davisbusinesslaw.com is our website. Just check us out and you can track me down there. And my email's just my initial Davis at davisbusinesslaw.com. And I, unless you get stuck in spam, I keep 4 emails in my inbox. I'm that dork. So
keeping it real for the podcast audience.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It has truly been a pleasure. I'll make sure that they have clickable links in the show notes so that they can reach out really easily. Let's do this again. I would love to hear an update.
Sounds great. Thank you. Love being on.
That's all for now. If you want to keep that kick-ass energy high, please take a minute to share this episode with someone that might need a high-octane dose of "you can do it." Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Permission to Kick-Ass podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you stream your podcasts. I'm your host, Angie Coley, and I'm here rooting for you. Thanks for listening, and let's go kick some ass.